the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Well, tonight on DC News Now at 5, today marks 2 years since the attack on the Capitol. We'll have how it's being remembered throughout the district. Also, we speak with the newly sworn-in Attorney General for DC and what he plans to do to make the city he loves a safer place to live.
It was very stressful for a minute, but then I just learned to woosah and go with the flow. Woosah.
And a new DC News Now series called Inflation and You. We highlight how families across the DMV are dealing with high inflation costs, including tips you can use for your own situation.
And chilly temperatures, they have certainly returned. We're looking at 30s as we go into the night tonight, but just how chilly is it going to stay through the weekend? We'll have a check coming up here in just a bit.
Thank you, Damon. We're starting with breaking news out of Newport, Virginia, where there was a shooting at an elementary school. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 5. I'm Mark Hall. Our sister station at Wavy is reporting a student shot a teacher at Rich Neck Elementary School. And officials say that no students were injured, but the teacher was taken to the hospital. No word yet on the extent of the injuries to the teacher. And the police say that the student responsible for the shooting is in custody, and we will continue to follow the story and bring you updates on air and online. But taking a live look outside, just when we thought the warm temperatures were going to last, it's back to reality where we settled back with temperatures in the 40s. Let's head on over to meteorologist Damon Madsen. Damon, you said that this day was coming. Now we're dealing with it, and hey, back to winter weather.
Back to the winter weather. Mother Nature trying to dial it back to those more typical January temperatures. Hey, it may be chilly out there, but we have some pretty cool views going on as that sun starts to set. The leftover clouds in the sky with that color left over just before we go into the overnight hours. Pretty cool stuff. But again, yes, we are dealing with plenty of the cloud cover and the chilly temperatures. We still have those pockets of cloudiness highlighted across the entire viewing area with just a little bit of clearing taking shape like we have right now near Washington, D.C., back up through Montgomery and Frederick counties. We will continue, though, to see some slow, gradual clearing as we head on into the start of the weekend. But here we are. Here are those chilly temperatures. We're down into the upper 40s around the D.C. metro toward Fredericksburg, down into southern Maryland. Meanwhile, the temperatures have dropped off a little more so toward the I-81 corridor in the mountains, where we have upper 30s and low 40s, and it will continue to get chillier than that as we get into the overnight hours. And there's that temperature change from just 24 hours ago. All day long, it's been about 10 to 15 degrees colder than it was yesterday. So this evening, yes, it is a little bit chilly. Yes, a little breezy as well, but overall, it's looking to be a pretty nice start to your Friday night with those mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies. Temperatures will continue to fall by the time we get toward midnight. We'll be well into the 30s, and most of us will settle down toward that freezing mark by the start of the day on Saturday. So either way, chilly temperatures are here to stay for your Saturday and Sunday, but could that cold air lead to possibly some rain and snow showers before the weekend is said and done? We'll have a check of that full forecast coming up here in just a bit.
All right, Damon, thank you. House Republicans are still fighting over who will become the next speaker, but Kevin McCarthy is now nearing victory. The GOP leader has been able to flip the votes of more than a dozen colleagues, and he just needs a handful more to officially seize the gavel. Washington correspondent Jesse Tenor takes a closer look.
Good evening. Today marks the first time McCarthy has been able to win the most support, with no other GOP challenger offered to siphon votes away from him. GOP leader Kevin McCarthy gained momentum when the House reconvened Friday for the fourth day of its speaker spectacle. McCarthy opponents like South Carolina's Ralph Norman flipped their votes.
You think we would be here had we not felt confident in what was going forward?
Pennsylvania's Scott Perry said McCarthy agreed to their demands for changing House rules to give rank-and-file members more power.
We have the framework of an agreement that allows us to keep moving forward in good faith to that end so that this place works for the American people.
But Florida's Matt Gaetz made it clear he would never accept a Speaker McCarthy.
He will not have the votes next week, next month, next year.
Other Republicans, like Alabama's Dale Strong, supported McCarthy from the beginning.
The last thing we need is someone, the Speaker, that doesn't want to be the Speaker.
Without a Speaker, the chamber cannot swear in new members, organize committees, or consider legislation. It also prevents lawmakers from setting up offices in their home districts and receiving important intelligence briefings. Democrats, like New York's Dan Goldman, said the dysfunction previews the House's next 2 years with a Republican majority.
They can't even get their act together to figure out a leader.
And the White House downplayed lawmakers' national security concerns today, saying if something were to happen, the administration does have the power to loop them in. In Washington, I'm Jesse Tenor.
Well, it's been 2 years since the attack on the U.S. Capitol, and hundreds of people broke through barricades, attacked police officers, ultimately storming the Capitol. Since then, members of Congress created the Electoral Count Reform Act. The bill revamped the handling of elections and solidified the role of voting when choosing a president. Well, security is tighter around the U.S. Capitol tonight, and it will remain that way throughout much of the week. Now, Dave Laval has spent most of the day there at the Capitol, and Dave, I have to imagine that it's a much different scene from 2 years ago.
Yeah, Mark, they certainly are. Right now, besides being chilly here at the U.S. Capitol, the sidewalks around the building are closed to the public. They're going to remain that way much of the weekend. You also have more Capitol Police on hand to keep the peace, and they were definitely needed earlier today when things got quite a bit tense. Demonstrators placed flowers as a tribute to some of those who took part in the January 6th riot. It's been 2 years to the day since insurrectionists attacked the building in an attempt to interfere with the certification of Joe Biden's election, which happened inside. Sherry Hafner told us she had to be here.
I came out here today to honor the 4 deaths of the patriots that were killed January 6th.
While demonstrators showed their support for the fallen, they did not find any from Arlington's Jonathan Teitelbaum and friends who visited the Capitol.
If I'm being honest, I have no sympathy to the people who lost their lives when they committed the insurrection. I do believe there were a few people who were protecting the U.S. Capitol who did lose their lives, and that's a tragedy.
It's kind of sad that's still happening, but I mean, it's nice that the roses are out here. Obviously, people are still kind of obviously emotionally, damaged for what happened 2 years ago.
The rally in front of the Capitol was the second stop for the random group. Demonstrators spent much of the day across the street in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. A lot of it involved very vocal confrontations with opponents, including vulgar language, not what Arlington's Brad Peters wanted to hear.
It's also good for, people also just, if they have different opinions, to just vocalize it peacefully. I think that's what some people are trying to do.
Watch out, watch out. The demonstration provided some tense moments, but nothing like what happened here exactly 2 years ago. The sidewalks are expected to reopen to the public on Sunday. Also, you should know, parking in the surrounding areas has been greatly reduced for security reasons. We're live at the U.S. Capitol. Dave Laval, DC News Now.
David, thank you. The Department of Justice says hundreds of people were charged in connection to the attack on the Capitol. But where do the criminal prosecutions stand? Over 950 people have been arrested from nearly all 50 states. 500 of those people have entered guilty pleas. Attorney General Merrick Garland says that he's proud of the Justice Department's work so far, but they are far from finished. He says perpetrators attacked police, targeted and assaulted members of the media, and interfered with the fundamental element of our democracy, the peaceful transfer of power from one administration to the next. And since then, countless agents, investigators, prosecutors, analysts, and others across the Justice Department have participated in one of the largest, most complex investigations in our history.
Kevin! Hearn!
And that was Republican Congressman Matt Rosendale. As the vote for House Speaker continues, he drew laughs and groans on the House floor as he paused when he said that which Kevin he was voting for, and it was from Kevin Hearn, who represents Oklahoma. Well, new tonight, a bill in Maryland is raising eyebrows after a recent incident at MacArthur High School in Anne Arundel County. A 12-year-old student brought a handgun and loaded magazine into the school, but police were unable to charge the student. It's because of the Juvenile Justice Reform Bill. It passed last year, and it does not allow children under the age of 12 to be charged with certain crimes. Police say that there have been dozens of cases where juveniles are committing crimes including weapons violations, sex offenses, threats, but are unable to be charged. Well, police are asking for the public's help tonight as they search for a woman who stole a lottery ticket at a 7-Eleven in Loudoun County, Virginia. Take a look at the woman climbed over the counter and stole 5 lottery tickets without paying for them before taking off. Anyone with information is asked to contact police, and you can remain anonymous. Well, new tonight, we're hearing from D.C.'s new Attorney General. He was sworn in earlier this week, and he faces some major challenges. Our political and government reporter Leonard N. Fleming sat down with the new AG today. Leonard, what did you learn about how he plans to tackle the issues facing the district?
Schwab says he plans on being a listening and visible Attorney General, and one of his top priorities is making people feel safe in the district. Brian Schwab calls himself a third-generation Washingtonian who raised his family in the district, and he quotes his father, who often told him that it's more important to listen than talk. The new AG plans on working with the mayor to solve crime, and he says that may mean disagreeing on some issues. He also told us he will review cases brought by his predecessor, including the investigation into the Washington Commanders. Still, Schwab says he wants to hear what the public needs and wants from its Attorney General. So far, he says people tell him feeling safe is their biggest concern.
I hear that people want to feel safe, that people want to have a sense of safety, walking their dog, going to school, shopping for groceries. I hear people talk about equity in the sense that so many people see the prosperity of our city but don't feel like they're sharing in that prosperity. And many, many people today are concerned about our democratic values and standing up for democracy, rights to vote, standing up against hate. So that's what informs my priorities, is the listening to the people who I'm representing and then putting them into effect as the Attorney General.
We will have more at 6 on the new AG's agenda, including working with Mayor Muriel Bowser on tackling juvenile crime. Reporting in the newsroom, Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now, back to you.
All right, Leonard, thank you so very much.